Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends Dan Snellgrove,
Nick Kirk,
and Jamie Firth. Here they come!
Hello, loyal listeners, and welcome to this week's episode of abombtozzzax. Who's the greatest Marvel character / my favorite Marvel character, depending on what we feel like calling it this week. It's a particularly special episode this week because for the first time ever, we have no Colin Holt. Oh, that's weird. Is this going to work? It's an experiment. Let's see if it does. In Colin's place, you have myself, Nick Kirk, or Nick Crick as Colin always calls me, and triumphantly returning after a period in the wilds, we have the splendid Mr. Jamie Firth.
Hello. Yes, I feel like Ant-Man when he went into the other world, and when he came back out, it was like 30 years later. But it's good to see no one's aged. Everyone seems to be exactly as I left it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a bald man. I've looked the same for about 20 years. It's just hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Yes, so here we are. We are, as ever, working our way through all of the Marvel characters in the Marvel Unlimited app from A to Z, but not necessarily in that order. Although this week we have returned to the alphabetical order a little bit. But as has been our wont in recent weeks, we've also put together a little theme, a little grouping for you. So the next one on the list that we were hitting is Armadillo. And in honor of that, we've decided to put together Marvel's weirdest animal villains. So we're not just going to look at Armadillo. We're going to look at Armadillo, Mongoose, Frogman, Mandrill, and perhaps the most nothing of them all, Killer Shrike.
I got to say, Shrike, I didn't know what that was. Is that an animal?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure we discuss it when we get to it, but
I feel like I was going to look this up and I forgot. I think it's a bird. I think a shrike is a bird, like a bird of prey.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it feels like it. I don't think it's even a bird of prey. It looks a little bit. I'm looking one up now.
Okay.
It looks a little bit like a sparrow.
Okay. So powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's weirdest animal villains, so it fits.
It fits the. I was going to say it fits the bill, and that feels like I've just made a weird pun. No, are we going to go puns this week? Maybe. Let's see. We can do what we want. Colin's not here. We're in charge.
He gets very mad when I pun. I'm not allowed to pun.
We make the rules this week. We can do what we want. We can pun away wall-to-wall puns all the way through. This will be the episode that doesn't go out because Colin's banned it for all the puns.
Yeah. I think lovely that Armadillo's up first because little off-air note beforehand, I was thinking there's no way that all of these middle-aged men are going to get through this episode without saying the Armadillo Harry Enfield dime bar advert from the early to mid 90s. I thought we're never going to get through without mentioning it, and Nick actually sent me a picture of it before the episode was even recorded, so
yeah,
we didn't even get to the episode without mentioning it.
Let's rip that band-aid right off on that one. There was no way that I was going to get any length into this episode without saying the word Armadillo. It's a legal requirement for people in middle age when they hear that word. It's better from the UK. For those of you outside of the UK, Harry Enfield was one of our greatest prime ministers.
Yes,
of course. Yes, it was an ad campaign in the early 90s where he speaks to a sort of stereotypically, in a probably quite offensive way now, stupid person.
Yeah, kind of farmer, weird guy, and yeah, it's a chocolate bar advert. I mean, It was very funny at the time. We all enjoyed it, and it got
Oh,
mentioned a lot.
oh, how we laughed.
Yeah.
It's up there with the kind of "you've been tangoed" type advert that was.
Also not known anywhere outside of the
Yeah,
UK.
yeah. We've gone straight in and gone niche UK in this episode
Yep.
with our references, and that's how we like it. Sorry, non-UK listeners. But look, at least you know who. Over the course of this series, you've worked out who many of our prime ministers are, thanks to the many references we made.
Yep.
So yes. Yeah. So Armadillo was the first one we looked at, created by Mark Grunwald and Paul Neary back in Captain America 308 in 1985. Real name, Antonio Rodriguez.
Ooh, didn't pick that up.
Yeah, I don't think that's in the issue we looked at, but that's his real name.
He does reoccur then. That was going to be one of my first questions.
He comes back. Height 7'6".
Wow.
He's a
lad.
big one. He's
Yeah.
a big one. And actually, weirdly, until we looked at this issue, because Colin puts the list of issues together that we're going to look at, this was the first issue of Captain America that I ever read.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 1985?
Yes,
Brand
around
new?
then. Yeah, because at the time in the UK, they initially did UK reprints of Secret Wars with Power Pack as a backup strip. So they used to do like a weekly reprint. So they do about 8 pages of the issue and then some pages of Power Pack to fill it out every week. And then once they'd reprinted all the Secret Wars, they moved on to Secret Wars 2 because they were a little bit behind in publishing it over here. And instead they published like full issues of Secret Wars 2 and then all the various tie-in issues in between. So you just got random issues of Hulk, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Captain America published. And they do a little blurb on the first page to say, this is who the characters are and this is what's been going on. So you got a little kind of recap page. And this issue with Armadillo was the first time I ever read a Captain America issue. It seemed... I remembered that opening sequence where he's sort of breaking into the compound. I was like, oh yeah, I've read this before.
Well, let's talk about that. Do we want to go through what the content of the comic?
Yeah, we can dive straight into this one.
Oh man, yeah. I love the fact that on the very front page it says he's no laughing matter, and he really is.
Yeah, they've set out their store and they've set it out wrongly.
Yeah. They've set that expectation real low.
Yeah.
It's like he's no laughing matter. You know what we're saying. You know.
Yeah. He's no laughing matter, but he is a massive armadillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do quite like the opening of this issue though. I think they've got quite a nice way of doing a recap of what's been going on in recent Cap issues, with him having this internal monologue of trying to work out what day of the week it is based on what he's been doing over the last week, which basically is a recap of about 5 different comics that he's recently been in.
Yeah. It's nice that, and it is basically saying this is a bottle episode as well.
Yeah.
Like don't worry, all of those things it's been a lot, we know. In which case let's kick back with a bit of a wacky one.
Yeah,
it's no laughing matter.
He's been doing a lot of stuff. Let's just have him fight a big armadillo for a couple of pages.
Yep.
And he genuinely, he's not like Armadillo's not a man in a suit. He is a massive armadillo. He's been experimented on by standard cardboard cutout evil doctor.
Yeah, with a sort of bobbed haircut.
Yeah,
a sort of pudding bowl haircut that always signifies evil.
Yeah, there's quite a few mad professors that seem to have the sort of pudding bowl and round shades look.
Yeah, with some of the Dr. Octopus. When he first actually appeared in this comic, I was like, is this Dr. Octopus? I didn't...
Yeah, it's basically Doc Ock without the arms. They've gone, no, that will do as a evil scientist look. It's good enough, isn't it? You kind of know what you're getting. I mean, Armadillo has got like it is quite a tragic backstory you've got for Armadillo, because he's just got out of prison. So he's been in prison for something. They don't say what he's been in for, but he's got out of prison. He comes home to find his wife's ill. So he ends up going to this doctor who says, "Oh, I can cure your wife if you'll let me do some experiments on you." For which he says, "Well, okay, I want my wife to live, so yes." And the experiment is, well, I'll turn you into a 7'6" armadillo for unspecified reasons.
Yep. Which we don't really find out what they were.
It's unclear exactly why he wants a 7'6" armadillo man. I mean, this evil doctor has been in other issues because he sends Armadillo to retrieve the sort of comatose body of another villain called Goliath. Goliath being a name for Ant-Man as well. They reuse a lot of the same names for heroes. I don't think this is the same. I don't think this is Ant-Man Goliath. It's another Goliath. So this evil scientist has already created like a giant, again, for unspecified scientist reasons. And now wants the giant back. So of course he has to create a massive armadillo to send to get the giant back. That's just a standard plan to retrieve a giant.
No woman who swallowed a fly.
Yeah.
Have to get an armadillo to get the Goliath. Yeah.
Yeah. We all know the song. It's just, you've got to do it. I found the ending to this one quite odd though, because sort of Cap understands.
Talk me through it, because I've got a little note that says I got a little bit lost at the end.
Yeah.
Particularly the last couple of pages, I couldn't work out what the hell was going on. Because I mean, the comic doesn't need much. We don't need to recap it too much. It's your bog standard. Here's a new bad guy, but he's got a good reason to be. They fight for a bit, then they sort of help each other out, and then he kind of disappears. And it's like, well, Captain America's like, maybe I'll see him again. Maybe I won't.
Yeah. I think the thing I found weird is, like you say, Cap and Armadillo realize that they're not really enemies after all. So Cap follows him back to the evil doctor, and
the real enemy is bad haircuts.
Yeah. Bad haircuts and tiny round glasses.
Yeah.
And Cap says, okay, we'll call the police and we'll get the doctor arrested. And Armadillo says, no, don't do that because you won't cure my wife. So Cap then says, all right, well, I'll just leave it up to you then. See ya, bye.
Yeah.
Just wanders off. It's like, okay.
He's got stuff to do.
He is a busy man.
There's issue 309 to worry about.
Yeah. He's got a shield to throw around at people, stuff like that. Yeah. Also, I can understand why the last few pages of this issue were confusing to you, because they are specifically part of the Secret Wars 2 crossover.
I assumed it was some sort of setup or reveal, but I couldn't tell which, because I didn't know who it was that was appearing in the comic. But I thought, this guy's got nothing to do with Armadillo. I'm out.
No, yeah, and you were correct in that assessment. He has got nothing to do with Armadillo. He's got everything to do with Secret Wars 2. And this, when I read this when I was a kid, it was fine. I enjoyed the issue. But now that I'm older, this is exactly the sort of issue that's advertised as a tie-in to crossover that would make me annoyed to have read it. Because if you're reading it for the purpose of it being part of a crossover, there's literally only 2 pages at the end that tie into it. A page and a half, even if we're being generous. And it's a development in the crossover, in that this otherworldly being decides that he's going to look like Captain America. But that's it, really. That's it. Also, I think when I was a kid, I didn't really get that he'd taken on Captain America's form, because at no point in the issue does Captain America take his mask off. But this being at the end turns into Captain America without his mask. So I think when I was a kid, I was like, oh, he's just a blonde man.
Ah, the old blonde fella.
Yeah.
There he is.
Just one of them blonde guys. So there's I like Armadillo's backstory, but he doesn't do a huge amount in the issue, really, does he?
He's a nice enough guy, but and he's not really got any powers as such, apart from he's got quite sharp claws. And big rock hard shell. He's quite hard to take down. But then he is taken down. And
I quite like his look, though. I do like the kind of claws and the pointy teeth and the sort of animalistic face.
Yeah, and there's maybe like one frame of the entire comic where he's a man, before he gets turned into an armadillo, which happened very, very swiftly. whatever he's using, it's working.
Yeah. He basically says, we see him as a man. He's like, I was unconscious for several days, but when I woke up, I found he'd changed me into a human armadillo.
And here I am.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a risk. So the lesson there, don't go unconscious because you might wake up as a human armadillo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we move on to our next Marvel's weird animal on the list?
I would love to.
Next up, we have Mongoose.
I know what you're thinking at home. You're thinking, mongoose, that can't be great. And what is that? That's the thing with the snake, isn't it? That attacks snakes. Is it like a monkey? Is it a squirrel? I don't know what it is.
A mongoose is, do you know what? I feel like I should have actually had the animals on hand.
I mean, we all heard the keyboard clack at that point.
Yeah.
And we all knew
the giveaway. Oh, is he
happening.
is he Googling? Is he Googling? I mean, they're just a small mammal, really.
A small mammal.
Yeah, small mammal. They're kind of they feed on mostly insects, hatchlings, reptiles, and birds.
Yeah.
So
I think they attack snakes. I think, or maybe that's a trope in movies. I don't know.
Well,
but they're merciless because this is the merciless mongoose. He calls himself the merciless mongoose.
He does,
which is bigging himself up a little, I think.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever seen one with the mongoose in before.
Right. So this is Thor 391.
Yes. And at this point, Thor goes by the name. Oh, I had thought I'd written it down. He's got a weird Scandinavian name at this point, which I also don't remember Thor having before. I have to admit, Sigurd, yes. Jarlson, I think something like that.
Yeah, what's the most Norwegian name you can think of?
I'm also conscious that it just sounds a little bit like I'm being vaguely racist. Something like Sigurd Jarlson? Yeah, it's probably that, isn't it?
I think it is that, though. I
think it is.
I think it is. And he's with Spider-Man, which I don't know why, but like it is a theme running through. Like Captain America's on his own, but running through all of these weirdest animal villains episodes. They're all involving a couple of superheroes meeting up in unlikely circumstances to fight against weird animal villains.
And mostly Spider-Man. And I guess it makes sense given that he's an arachnid hero. I was going to say insect hero. We'd have people writing in. He's not. I know spiders aren't insects. It's the legs thing. I know they're arachnids. Don't write in. Is it Sigurd Jarlson? I want to look that up. Yes,
it's definitely the merciless mongoose.
It is
Sigurd Jarlson.
Sigurd Jarlson is Thor's name in this issue. And yes, he comes up against the merciless mongoose, whose power seems to be mostly, he mentions razor sharp fangs. Got
sharp teeth, yeah. It's not really a power, is it?
That is about it. Fun fact. So I looked up a few facts on the mongoose. Created by Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz in Amazing Spider-Man 283. So he's been in Spider-Man before.
Okay.
Thor. Real name unknown. One of the rare ones without a real name, because is fun fact time. Mongoose started life as an actual mongoose.
Oh goodness! What? He's become a man.
Yeah.
Or a man-like creature.
Yes. So he's a man.
He got bitten by a human and turned into a weird mongoose man. Explain this to me, Nick. What happened? How did this happen? Why did this happen?
I feel like you could say this about everything in comics all the time, basically. But yeah, he was experimented on by someone called the High Evolutionary, who does a lot of experiments on either animals into people or people into animals. He's a contemporary of X-Men's Mr. Sinister, so does a lot of experimenting. We talked about him a little bit in the Spider Women's episode that we did, because he was responsible for creating one of the Spider Women, Jessica Drew. but Mongoose was smuggled away from the High Evolutionary by Baron Zemo and the Masters of Evil. There's the name of a 70s prog rock band, if ever there was
Yep.
one. They brought him to America, and then he decided to just make a go of it on his own. Didn't want that. In this issue, Mongoose seems to have been hired by someone to attack Thor. I sort of read the bio a little bit. It is never explained who he's been hired by to attack Thor.
Right.
He just
Okay.
seems to have been hired by someone, and they never bother to tie up that plot thread. Yeah, someone's hired him to attack Thor. Just someone.
And Spider-Man's there because
Because he was just sort of swinging around and happened to be there.
okay.
It's one of those. Let's have a team up for the sake of a team up.
Yeah.
Things.
And I mean, not to skip through because he's quite a poor superhero. Apart from the razor sharp teeth, that's a given.
Yeah.
But there's a big battle on a construction site, and in the end, he brings a building down on top of himself and disappears.
Yeah.
So I was a bit concerned as to where he's gone, whether he's going to come back. Is he under the building? Did he just escape and they didn't show it? Or
he does come back. He escapes. I think he's back in the next issue to continue to try and plague Thor. He spends a little bit of time plaguing Thor, and also a character called Thunderstrike, who I don't know much about. He's a sort of Thor replacement for a bit, who then becomes he's Thor for a while, and then he becomes this other character, Thunderstrike, and spins off on his own for a little bit. So he's just another sort of lightning hammery type guy. And eventually Mongoose, as happens with a lot of these second stringer ones, he spends time with the Thunderbolts.
okay.
So yeah, that's often what happens with a lot of these also rans. At some point they'll probably end up in the Thunderbolts.
Call him Mayhem, call him Mongoose.
Yeah.
That was what he's trying to get.
There's a lot of explanatory dialogue in this one, I found as well. There's one point where Mongoose says, "I don't believe it. Thor's throw was so accurate that he managed to catch my ankle with his hammer's thong." Like, okay, yeah, that's a sort of normal sentence that we say.
We all saw it in the picture.
Yeah.
We saw the thong hit his ankle, obviously.
Yeah. Well, he follows it up with, "Oh no, I slipped free, and the hammer is returning to Thor." We can see all this in the we can yeah.
It's like the football commentary of Marvel Comics, stating what you can all see.
Yeah, just in case we weren't being clear on this one. Yeah, I didn't get much from Mongoose, I have to say.
The fact that he says, "Call me Mayhem, call me Mongoose," like, and doesn't say, "But Mayhem would be better." Like, I'd prefer Mayhem. I'll be honest. In fact, yeah, don't call me Mongoose, call me Mayhem. No, don't give them the option, mate. Just stick with Mayhem. That's pretty good.
Like, Mongoose isn't a threatening name.
Not really.
They're pretty small.
It's got the word goose in it as well.
Yes. Although geese are evil.
I mean, true, but and they have sharp teeth. Maybe he's covering something up.
Yeah. I mean, geese are just angry swans.
Yeah. Maybe
And
this
swans are just posh geese.
This is how he escaped the collapsing building, flew off.
Yeah.
Emigrated.
He hooked on a passing goose.
Yep. Migrated to Canada for the winter, and he'll be back.
He will be back, but not much. Yeah, 16 appearances for Mongoose, so he's not a big hitter.
I mean, 16 is pretty good for a Mongoose.
Yeah, yeah. For this level of character. But, I mean, like I said, he is an actual Mongoose as well.
Them's good numbers, I would say.
He's done well. I wonder who taught him English. He's picked it up pretty well.
Yeah, he can explain situations. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he can narrate what is going on in his own life with consummate ease.
Can we skip over Mongoose and get to Frogman? Because now I'm talking. Now I'm interested.
I think we have to get into Frogman. I mean, oof. Yeah. th- this was a highlight, I have to say. So we
Yep.
looked at Marvel Team Up 121 for this one. Is that the right one? Am I looking at the right thing? Yeah.
Yep.
Created by J.M. DeMatteis and Kerry Gamel. Real name, or Daniel will have a middle name klaxon for this, please. Frogman's real name is Eugene Paul Patilio. Appearance is 44. Frogman's a second generation villain.
Yes. So I was a little bit confused until as I was reading the comic, because I kept thinking, who's this Frogman that we're talking about? When the character in the comic is called Leapfrog.
Yeah.
So who is Leapfrog?
So Leapfrog is one of Daredevil's villains. So in the comic we see Leapfrog. I didn't write his name down. His actual name.
I didn't.
Father of Eugene or Gene.
Spoilers.
Vincent Patilio is Leapfrog. So Leapfrog, and this is another common theme with supervillains. Leapfrog is an inventor who's never created anything successful. So he invents these electrically powered coils, which he puts into a costume that allow him to leap quite high.
They're on the bottom of his feet.
Yes.
They're just like springs on his feet.
Yeah. Electric springs in his flippers, effectively.
Yeah.
So he decides to become Leapfrog and steal things. Now he's invented this thing that lets you. He could probably make money off the invention. They never do that. They never go, "Oh, I've invented this thing. I'll rob a bank." Not, well, I'll patent it and I'll sell it and I'll probably make some cash off it. No,
kids would love this. This is going to be the number one Christmas toy.
Yeah. It's like it'll be the next hula hoop, because that's what kids still like for Christmas, right? Hula hoops.
I think so. Yeah.
Or is it yo-yos this year?
If that Armadillo advert's still on, yes.
Yeah. So
so he invented them to make him he made them jump, became a superhero, and on his very first mission got beaten by Daredevil.
Yeah.
What I could tell. And sent to jail.
Yeah. Textbook sort of slightly lame animal themed villain.
Right.
So yes. So in the issue we looked at, he's basically we see sort of Vincent hanging out with his son Gene. And he's struggling, having got out of prison. His wife, Jean's mother, has died of cancer. Again, it's another sort of bleak origin story. And Vincent's son Gene decides, well, actually, I know what will help. I know where Leapfrog's costume is. I'll put that on. I'll become a hero, and I'll call myself Frogman.
Yeah. He's gonna finally realize the dream of his father by making Leapfrog a popular character by capturing, is it Speed Demon?
Speed Demon, one of Spidey's villains.
I've got to say, I've got no note of it, but I know that this was another team up, but I can't for the life of me remember for sure who it was. I think is it Spider-Man and Human Torch?
Yes, this one's Human Torch.
And they spend the first 5 pages exchanging insults at each other and letting bad guys get away because they're just like barbing at each other.
Yeah, standing on a roof and posturing at each other. Yes, which enables the criminals to run off. They do catch them, to be fair. But yeah, and this is a kind of common theme with Spidey and Human Torch. They do a lot of these kind of team ups with them where they just sort of bicker a little bit. And then
it's tomfoolery, Nick. That's what it is.
Shenanigans?
It's shenanigans, yeah.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, it could develop into shenanigans.
Yeah, they definitely like to shenan.
Especially when old Eugene turns up, because he puts on the old outfit, but he can't control it. So he's like Clouseau-esking, like pratfalling around the town trying to capture villains, but he can't control the coils. He keeps bouncing into walls. It's a shit show, really. I mean, let's be honest.
You're right. There's a strong Clouseau, Mr. Bean vibe.
Yeah.
to all of his attempts to be a hero.
Must have been another of our finest presidents.
Yes. And will be again, no doubt.
Yes. Re-elect. 2029.
Re-elect Bean. Yeah, I think it's an odd mix because he's got such it is such a tragic section of his father and his home life. So it starts with this sort of superhero bantering on rooftops and they catch some criminals. Then you've got about 5 pages of tragedy.
Yeah, his dad being very angry that he never made it.
Yeah, and then it's back to, oh, I've put my costume on and I'm bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, and there's a drunk in the street who says, "Oh look, I just saw Kermit off the telly." Which I didn't get what year this issue was out, but I'm guessing that was quite early on in the Muppet. It must have been the thing that was on TV at the time that were like, "Oh, we can make a frog joke there."
Do you know what? Actually, I'm looking at when this came out. It wouldn't have been. This was in 1982, and Muppet Show had finished by then.
82.
That's quite.
But the movies.
The movies would have been going. Great Muppet Caper would probably have been out about that time.
Yeah, Muppets Take Manhattan was probably 83.
A little bit after, yeah, because the Muppet movie was 79.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think Muppet Show finished in 80. So this is like 2 years after the Muppet Show's been off TV.
Yeah.
But we talked about this before as well. Like a lot of the writers, is this one Stan Lee? I can't remember if this one is. No, J.M. DeMatteis, we just said on that one. But a lot of the writers make kind of references to their youth, which was a while before this. Like if you look at Stan Lee's stuff in the 60s, his vocab is all like 40s jazz slang. It's all daddy-o and
That's
hepcat.
Insane.
And,
like you'd remember some obscure chocolate advert from years gone by and then use it as a contemporary reference. Who would have thought?
Who would do something like that on a popular podcast? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of that where actually their pop culture references are quite often anything from 2 years to 2 decades behind the actual culture.
Yeah.
Sometimes spot on. Like they often, their political characters turning up tend to be obviously spot on. You'll suddenly have like, oh, here's Ronald Reagan, or
I mean, I did love that Eugene not being able to control the costume, bouncing around. He does eventually sort of stop a robbery, and then asks an old woman basically to give him thanks for it, and she beats him up, and she calls him a commie and a prevert.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that word, perversion.
I liked the prevert one as well. It feels very much, and also that's them getting around a word they probably couldn't put in there if they spelled it properly. So it's a nice little double. I
can't remember what it is. There's a film where they talk a lot about perverts and perversions, and I can't remember what it is.
I can't.
It feels like a Mel Brooks, but it may not be.
I can't either, and I can picture someone talking about preverts.
Commie's still going strong, so that's fine.
Yeah. That one's as popular as it's always been.
Yeah.
But
it's a happy ending. Happy ending coming up.
It is a happy ending for Frogman because he does manage. It does manage to beat Steve Demon. Steve Demon.
Yeah, it's his real name.
Brother. Yeah. He manages to beat Speed Demon by sheer power of his Bean Clouseau-esque antics, in that he accidentally turns his suit on, bumps around Speed Demon so much that he can't run anymore and gets caught.
Yeah.
And decides at the end that he might well be a hero after all.
Yeah.
And this is the point where he takes the name Frogman instead of Leapfrog.
Yeah. And his dad rolls his eyes but thinks, well, I've got to leave it to the new generation to make their own names. If he's going to choose that, then fair enough.
Yeah, says Leapfrog.
I shall always be Leapfrog.
Yeah.
I've got an idea for a children's educational computer game that I will be going to make instead. But it's nice because his dad's really proud of him at the end.
Yes.
And his dad says offhandishly, "What am I going to do with you?" And Eugene says, "Just love me, Dad. Just love me." And I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, I really liked I really liked that it had a sort of fun ending for them.
Yeah.
Given the small section of pages of tragedy we had in the middle, like,
Yeah.
quite nice that we didn't go back to that for the end.
It's a dark and very silly comic
Yeah.
with an enduring message, and again, a bottle episode where everybody moves on with their lives afterwards. Do we meet Frogman again? Is he going to be back?
He does
Okay.
come back. He keeps attempting to be a hero. He attempts to join the Defenders. They don't really want him because he's Frogman. After the Civil War, he's briefly part of the Initiative for a while. During Secret Invasion, he's revealed to be a Skrull. So he gets
Oh my goodness.
captured. He
Oh,
gets
Eugene.
captured and turned into a Skrull. Given that they've turned people like Spider-Woman and quite major heroes, Frogman seems an unusual choice to go for.
Who
to
we're
go
going for
Skrull.
next? You know who we're going for next. It's time.
Frogman. And I think the last time you see him, he ends up being recruited by Iron Man with a group of similar ragtag second-rate heroes to go on a mission into space where he gets killed, but he does get resurrected again, so that's okay.
This is all coming very fast at me.
There's a lot. So he's still out there and he's all right.
Thank God.
So we haven't undone the happy ending of this issue, thankfully. As often happens in comics, you read one storyline, oh, nice ending for them. Oh, turns out they went evil and they got killed.
Brutal.
Thanks. No, Frogman's all right. He had a brief bit of being dead, which does happen a lot in comics.
Yeah.
But he did get better. So he's out there frogging away, trying to be a hero somewhere. We've got a couple more still to get through.
Yeah.
I think the next one on the list feels problematic.
Yeah. So Mandrill.
Yeah.
So Mandrill is in this comic, which is Shanna the She Devil 1970. Number 4, which probably is early 70s.
Yes.
It's got a very early 70s feel about it, and I hope everybody knows what that means.
Yeah. 73 this was.
It's sort of trying to be empowering, but really failing.
I think it's in that unintentionally problematic, well-meaning, but doesn't, but tone deaf, I think.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing that stuck with me most about this comic, obviously, which we have to discuss, is that Shanna's outfit. I would like to propose that at some point we get Dan in to do a science corner to investigate how her costume works, because I can't work that out. It's this sort of Raquel Welch thing, but it's just strips of material that are just held up by gravity, or I don't know if that's one of her special powers, but we'll gloss over that. I'm sure that Dan will deal with that at some point.
I mean,
and we'll probably get to her.
She'll be on the list at some point, so we will delve into her in more detail. But I guess for the benefit of listeners who aren't familiar with Shanna the She Devil, she's effectively a sort of female Tarzan type character.
Yeah.
In that she was not quite the same. She was raised by humans still, but she was raised in Africa. And yeah, like you said, we'll get into her background a bit later, but effectively she dresses in a very skimpy leopard skin type outfit and knocks around with a couple of big cats.
Yeah. And that's probably what attracts the Mandrill to come and have shenanigans in her universe, I would imagine. Yeah. I couldn't quite follow the beginning of this. So the background of, there's a mysterious masked character that we're not going to reveal who it is, who kidnaps her and then explains his devious plan.
Yeah, she's sort of
he seems to have kidnapped like 6 very rich, powerful people that they then talk about a lot. It look very big into their backgrounds, and then they just disappear and never get spoken of again.
Yeah, I don't think they've been kidnapped at this point. There is someone else that gets kidnapped in the issue, and that's sort of glossed over. That doesn't really come back as a point. She gets a phone call from someone who gets kidnapped, and that's
Right.
But I think they've all been invited to this venue by someone, and they're not sure who, because when Shanna arrives, they think she's the one that's invited them, but it's
Right.
not her. It's one of those classic gentlemen, I have invited you all here today.
Yes.
That's how the Mandrill's opening gambit is.
Yeah.
And when we see the Mandrill, who is the person who's invited them all there today, he's a hooded figure at this point. And then ultimately whips off the hood to reveal the face of an actual mandrill, as in the primate.
Primate, monkey, ape. I didn't know. And
Monkeys.
I didn't look it up.
I think mandrills are monkeys.
So crazy, colourful face, like kind of
Yes.
blues and yellows and reds. I love his henchwomen, very progressive. For
Yes.
the time, I imagine. But less progressive. He's tattooed their faces to look like his, which
Yes.
not very empowering, I wouldn't say.
No. He's got a scheme as well to take over a selection of African countries.
Yeah.
Slightly nebulous as to what he's actually really planning to do with that. I mean, I looked into his backstory a little bit. His real name is Jerome Beecham. Beechman. I'll say that properly. This is his first appearance, Shanna the She Devil 4. So created by Carol Suling, Steve Gerber, and Ross Andrew. Steve Gerber's got form with anthropomorphic animal types because Steve Gerber wrote a great run on Howard the Duck.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Steve Gerber likes animal people. So I think that's where this has come from. Apparently, according to Mandrill's background, he's a mutant, abandoned by his parents because of his mandrilly appearance. Effectively, sort of raises himself and swears revenge. One of those types. Doesn't turn up. Turns up a fair bit. 64 appearances, more than you would think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And still pops up even quite recently. Yeah, he's been in some recent issues. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of him, really. He's an odd.
Yeah. He's a bit he's creepy. So he drugs Shanna at one point and then tries to tattoo her face also with the bright colours.
He's got a definite thing about the face tattoos.
He likes that.
It's
I mean, that's not coming off. Like, that's going to be a very difficult reversal.
Yeah.
And then
like, Mandrill face isn't really it's not something you're going to easily disguise.
No, that's why he's presumably wearing the helmet at the beginning, because he's like, that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
But as if it wasn't enough of a giveaway, he then to try and combat her, he unleashes a cage of real mandrills, actual mandrills. He's got like 20 maybe 30 in a cage.
Just knocking around, just on the off chance he might need them.
Them's my boys.
Yeah.
So obviously the comic finishes the way that we all anticipate it finishing, and the only way it should, with a woman beating like 20 mandrills to a pulp. In order to save a man that's dressed like one.
And actually, this is a separate set of mandrills as well.
Yeah,
because he had the selection of mandrills that he unleashed earlier in the comic, and then he unwittingly falls into a zoo exhibit full of mandrills who then attack him. Hoist by his own face. I don't know. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I can't do anything better with it.
There's just a lot of mandrills in this comic. You wouldn't expect that many mandrills.
No.
Too many mandrills? Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I mean, we think it's unclear. It's unclear what happens at the end, but I think there's a frame that has a tableau of untamed jungle fury written on it, and that's exactly what we're looking at.
But it ends with Mandrill caught, but revealing that he has got Shanna's father prisoner, and as Mandrill says in the very last panel, he is my prisoner and will remain so until I exact my revenge. Textbook villain final line. Textbook
In
villain.
issue 300 and
Yeah. Well, actually, in issue 5, he kills her father.
oh well, okay,
Yeah.
that's the next issue, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he's blown that until next week.
Yeah. 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 Until very, very soon. Really much sooner than
I'm
you're
going to
expecting.
draw it out a whole few pages.
Yeah. At least 4 more panels after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that Mandrill he tries to escape from her several times, and every time he does, he says stuff like, well, no woman could ever do this, and then she does. And you'd think by the like third or fourth time, you'd have thought he'd hang on, maybe she can do this.
Yeah. He's not a quick learner, I would have to
No.
say.
How many Mandrills have I got? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How many is enough? How many's too many?
I mean, I'd say probably 1 is too many. They're pretty vicious.
They're nasty. They're nasty in the comic. I wouldn't judge them in real life, but they're wild.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty vicious. I wouldn't go near them. Tear your face off, mate. And as would Jerome Beachman. Said that right, Beachman? Yes. That.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think we're coming to probably the most impressive of all the animal villains on that. And by that, I mean, and that is, of course, Killer Shrike. Killer Shrike, who, as we mentioned earlier, we had to look up exactly what sort of bird he was because it is not clear from the issue really what his animal theme is.
No, it's a man in a grey suit, really.
Yeah. It's
have
a man.
we got some background on him? Can we?
Yeah. Created by John Warner and John Buscema back in Rampaging Hulk #1 in 1976. He's 6'5". He's a tall fella. Real name Simon Maddox. It's not very impressive, is it, when you know the real name?
Simon.
Yeah. He's a Simon. In this issue, he is amnesiac as well, apparently. He doesn't seem to know who he is. And in the issue we looked at, which was Marvel Team Up Again, issue 90, he is teaming up with someone called the Modular Man.
Yeah, or MM. I quite like that. I quite like that as a nickname.
Yeah. Who has been exposed to, I think it's his own experiment, which has made his body unstable. So he's created a sort of metal skeleton to hang his molecules on. We definitely did need Dan for Science Corner in this issue. I think there's so much science in this one, but
I thought he looked like Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
It's a sort of spirally sort of strand of a man.
Yeah, he's not really a skeleton. His head has got that Mr. DNA blocky feel to it. Maybe
he's so wacky that they felt like they had to make Killer Shrike something fairly tame. So he's just a man in a grey suit, really, who has to fill in his own backstory. I noticed Modular Man like tells his story and says how he got there, and then they basically start fighting, and he fills in the background of his backstory by having which superhero is it? I can't remember now.
He's up against, well, it's Marvel Team Up, so it's Spider-Man and
Beast
in this one.
Yes, that's right. There's a lot to like in this, actually. I've just remembered I really like this one.
Yeah, I mean the issue,
but I'm afraid it's not for Killer Shrike. He's fighting with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's saying like, oh yes, no, Killer Shrike actually says out loud, he is finding out that I know martial arts and possess massive strength. Like, okay, do you want to explain that? Not really. I feel like that says it all. P.S. I have electric shock claws.
Yes, that's the only thing I was going to say. The only thing we really learn about him is that he's got electro claws, and that's it. And that if you're touching the ground when he shocks you, it will kill you. But if you're in the air,
this.
Probably
this was a health and safety tip. This is why Dan should be here for this one, because this is the stuff about earthing that I've never understood. That thing about like if a bird is on a wire and they can't get electrocuted because they're not earthing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Beast like jumps off the floor and avoids a real shock.
Yeah. He's like, would have killed you if you'd been standing still. Yeah, and also it seems that Shrike has learned his lesson from his previous encounter with Spider-Man. He says, last time I put my claws together, well, they short-circuited. Now they shoot a big beam at you.
By the way, I have improved these. So anybody who read that issue and thinks, well, he's going to get out of this, think again.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it's mostly the sort of crux of the issue is the Modular Man and Killer Shrike are trying to steal something because the Modular Man has said that it will help Shrike regain his memory.
right.
But shock twist, it's not for that at all. It was just to give Modular Man some more power and make him big so that he can stand on top of the Empire State Building like King Kong. That mostly seemed to be what they were aiming with this one.
It got complicated.
Yes.
No one was quite sure what was going on. And then like at the end, like they kill Modular Man,
Yeah.
kill him dead. And it's a
Yeah.
bit of a somber moment because they then just like let Killer Shrike go. He just runs off or flies off. And they say, we stopped his partner. Isn't that enough for one day? We may have destroyed a man beast. I know it was necessary and we didn't have a choice, but I don't have to like it. Spider-Man there. With great power comes
The
great
ability to
monologue.
kill a man.
Yeah, oh, I'm not going to kill him today. We stopped his partner. Isn't that enough for one day?
Yeah. We've
Like,
killed one. I mean, come on.
you know he's coming back next week if we let him go. That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
But a lovely tension throughout this with Beast and Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's current squeeze is lusting after Beast the entire thing. There's a lovely bit where she goes home with a scrap of Beast's shirt, goes into the house, and Spider-Man is almost following her in. Well, Peter Parker, I suppose, is almost following her in, and then she like shuts the door on him, and there's just a brilliant shot of him standing on the stairs looking sad, and the caption just says, "Ah, nuts."
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a real sort of Charlie Brown Peanuts vibe to that. Just that proper downbeat, woe is me, life never goes my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Beast Spider-Man thing is good fun in this issue. And
Yeah.
the rivalry feels a little bit because they're both smart guys as well.
Yeah.
It's like
They're both
they're
at
smart
college.
guys. Yeah. And the women are kind of attracted to them for their smarts, seems to be the implication in this one as well, which is
But they
quite
still
nice.
prefer the really muscular blue dude.
Yeah. They still like the furry guy.
Yeah. There is a line about that. There's a creepy line about I want to put my hand in his fur or something.
Yes.
One
Yeah.
of the young women at the beginning.
Yeah, he's got a sort of selection of groupies at the start.
Yeah, he's got like a harem going around him.
Yeah, I just want to get my fingers in that dreamy fur of his.
There you go, dreamy fur. Yeah, like the Monsters Inc. guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's a good fun issue.
a fun comic. Yeah, I actually probably enjoyed that one more than any of them. But not for Killer Shrike. Again, it's a shame that these sort of stooges are having to appear in comics just to make the other guys look good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get anything from Killer Shrike in this one, I have to say, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed the Frogman one slightly more.
Yeah, no, I probably did too. I did like Shrike at one point. Modular Man and Shrike have a helicopter somehow.
Yeah.
We're flying a helicopter. Oh right, okay. Where'd you get? Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're flying a helicopter because they need to soak up microwaves to power the device, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Science Corner. I mean, that sounds like technology that is even out of date now.
Yeah. There's
Never
something about them hanging out of a helicopter with a dish trying to soak up microwaves that feels very much the 1960s Batman movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then inadvertently turning the Modular Man into a giant King Kong style villain.
'Twas beauty that killed the beast.
Yeah. Or microwaves.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it was actually Spider-Man and Beast, but they seem to wash their hands of they seem to wash their hands of it quite well at the end. So
Yeah, no one seemed that fussed.
we didn't have a choice, but I don't have to like it.
Yeah. Or be prosecuted for it in any way, shape, or form.
True.
Yeah. Well, that was our weird selection of Marvel animals. We did it. We made it through them. There's only one thing I think left to do, and it's the exciting part of the episode that everyone looks forward to, and that is putting them in a Word document in order. Hurrah! Can you see that all right?
Should we just put them in alphabetical order and say,
Is that working?
yes, I can see the list. I mean,
can't
you are at the top half of the order, which feels like we're not going to really trouble. I don't think.
Not even Frogman. We're not putting Frogman that high.
Scroll that wheel.
Where are we saying? Let's go through. Where does Armadillo sit? Is he quite low, or
I think he's probably quite low. He's not. I mean, we are probably in this. Yeah, we're in this sort of late 90s.
we're down the
We're possibly Trip Figs, I think.
we're down the bottom of the list here. So, do we think is he better than Betty Ross? Probably not.
Yeah, he is, but only just.
Maybe one above then.
Yeah,
All right. Let's whack Armadillo in there.
Armadillo.
Quite low. Next up, where's my list gone?
So
next
we'll do
Mongoose.
Mongoose,
is
yeah.
next.
I mean, Mongoose. I mean, he's low, isn't he? I mean, he's below Armadillo, so we're talking in the hundreds, I think, or 90s.
So, do we think? I'm trying to remember who were the kind of the last ones you've done. Do we think he's worse than? Is he worse than Airwalker?
He's in that ballpark, isn't he?
Should we put him between Airwalker and A-Bomb?
Yeah.
Ooh.
A-Bomb. He's fallen so far. He was number one at one point.
Yeah. Briefly.
The OG number one.
Then next up we got
Frogman next.
Frogman. I mean, I like Frogman. There's something about him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move up higher, I think, for Frogman. I think I'm gonna put him. I might put him above Battling Jack Murdoch.
That's the sort of range, isn't it?
I don't think he can go above Gambit.
No.
I think, let's whack Frogman in there. Then we got Mandrill.
Mandrill.
Oh, he's quite low.
I mean, he is. He's quite low. And it doesn't bode well for Killer Shrike, but
Below Red Hulk for Mandrill.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah. And then, of course, Killer Shrike. Mandrill.
I mean, Killer Shrike he's 125. I mean, Albion. That's a good yardstick.
Okay, below Albion.
Yeah.
Killer Shrike. There we go. We did it. We've done the important work. We have put the animal-based characters into the list and hopefully done the absent Colin Holt proud.
Yeah.
There's only really one thing left to do in this episode, and it's the bit I know everyone gets particularly excited about, and that is the admin. Where else can you find us? Well, I'm glad you asked, dear listener. If you're enjoying this, you can go to abombtozzzax on Instagram and give us a follow on there. If you're really enjoying this, you can sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/abombtozzzax, where you'll get bonus episodes every week and the opportunity to suggest people to have in either a mini episode or in one of the main episodes themselves. Also, you can find us on YouTube now. We're putting episodes up there. And if you have got something funny or interesting you want to say about the podcast and would maybe like us to read it out, you can email us at abombtozzzax@gmail.com, and I will read it, and I may not necessarily reply. And finally, wherever you do get your podcasts, if you can like, subscribe, leave us a review. Similarly, if you leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, anything like that, if we see any nice ones, we'll read those out as well. And please do just leave 5-star reviews, because it's just not worth it otherwise. Why would you do that? Why would you not give us 5? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Anyway, that was our episode. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to Jamie.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure to be back.
Delighted to have you back. And hopefully next week we will have the governor himself back in charge in his usual spot, when we will look at whatever's next on the list. I don't know. I didn't look up what the next episode was. I probably should have, shouldn't I? But that also means we can change our mind, because we haven't told you what it is yet. Cunning. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. It's Shaflang from me.
And it's a Sphinx all from me.
Hank Pym sucks. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
You have been listening to abombtozzzax, my favorite Marvel character, with me, Colin Holt, and my friends Dan Snellgrove, Nick Kirk, and Jamie Firth. There they go! Please remember to support us at patreon.com/abombtozzzax.